Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Season 3 of the Rule 34 podcast. I am Jack, joined by my fellow co hosts.
Dominic Castillo.
Aaron. I can't say that. Giovanni. There we go.
Alright, so we are back on this Monday, a very cozy Monday. I guess you would call it gloomy outside. I think it was raining earlier. Not raining right now, but it's still, the weather is very overcast, I guess you would say. How are you two doing on this day?
I am doing splendid, boys. A fever of in the hundreds, and you know, life's great, man. I got to see LeBron jams not too long ago. That was it was a memorizing image to capture. You know, just seeing him like a couple feet, a good amount of feet away from me, and it was cool. I also got to see. I'm not sure if Giovanni was there at the time, but I got to see Dre and Eminem perform and stuff. And that was pretty cool during the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame at the Microsoft Theater. And it was a memorizing, and I do mean memorizing, this event overall. We got to see a lot of cool people. Lionel Richards was there too. That's pretty cool. He played the music. I like the music. He played the piano. Good piano. What else? Hold on. I finally got the record player and got to play music, and it works so well. It's kind of odd just seeing a record player just do its thing, because I've never used one before. This is the first time ever using one, and I got to use it on my first ever LP that I bought, and it's so far so good. I can't wait to overindulge in the amount of money that I'm probably going to be spending on these LPs. They're very expensive, especially as that of the prices that are seen at Barnes and Nobles. But it is what it is. How about you guys? Have you guys been pog?
Unfortunately, I did not get to see Eminem and Dr. J, cause all the boring people got to go first. And by the time that I was fed up with just sitting around, like, there was like a group of like 10 white people, 10 old white people just dancing around, reliving their teenage days. I told my boss, because some dude told me that after my 8 hours I was free to go. I wasn't like, it wasn't mandatory for me to stay until the end of the event. As soon as I heard that, I was like, yo, I'm a dip. And I was like, dude, but Eminem, you have to watch Eminem. I was like, no, but 12:30, we're going to be finished by 1 a.m. I don't want to be going home at 1 a.m. Fuck that. Oh, my bad. I apologize. But that was literally like the very raw reaction, or my raw thinking. I was like, I'm not going to do that. So I went home. I saw a lot of, like, okay, some of them were boring, but then there was one. I don't remember her name at all, but she's the one that sings that Heartbreaker song, like Heartbreaker, Dream something, you know, that one. I really liked her. I really liked her performance. It was pretty cool. I thought she was really pretty for her age. I was like, whoa. She had like the cat makeup on, you know, like the thing that kind of like makes your eyes longer, and like it really suited her. And what else? Oh, I saw Judas Priest. Jack, do you know Judas Priest?
I do not.
You do not? Okay. They're supposed to be like, apparently they're like the pioneers of metal music, and I really liked their performance too. Everybody else was just so boring. The speeches were like 30 minutes long each, and everyone kept saying the same thing. Shout out to my family. Shout out to all the people that I met along the way. They kept name dropping a lot of people that I had no idea who they were. And then every time someone said something, the crowd would cheer. I was like, how many old people are in the crowd today, man? How do you know these people? and then what else? I don't know. It was just a very boring event. And the sad thing is, it's going to be us one day. when all the artists that we're listening to are indicted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Because then we're gonna be like, yo, remember when that dude was popping off? And all the young kids are gonna be like, look at this old dude. But yeah, it was, I don't know, that event was kind of mid. Besides that, what else is going on? I don't know if we mentioned it, but this weekend was very, very. Of course, we haven't because it literally just ended. This weekend was lit. It was the Overwatch League finals, and then it was the Phillies versus the Astros game 6, I believe, which the Phillies lost because they're frauds. And then, but it was very exciting watching the Overwatch one because they were making some incredible plays. It was like the most excited I've been watching a gaming event. And I didn't get to watch the Philly game because I was at work. And it was like unfortunate timing. I really wanted to watch that game. I feel like if I would have been there watching it, Philly would have performed a little bit better. That's just copium. But yeah, that's it for me. What about you, Joseph?
I've been doing pretty well. As far as the Phillies game 6, which I'll talk more in detail about tomorrow when I do my episode on that and the NFL. Overall, I'm happy with. I'm happy yet disappointed with the season because I mean, when you start off with such a terrible record and fire your coach and then find a way to turn it around. I mean, not even turn around. They did obviously turn around because they made the playoffs, but like they were the last team in the playoffs. And from there, it was like you didn't really have much hope. I mean, you thought you could beat the Cardinals, which is something I thought for sure. I was like, oh, they can beat the St. Louis Cardinals. That's easy. But then every round after, it's like, okay, they could, but I'm not. I'm holding out hope that they could, but I'm not fully, I guess you could say, believing. Because the thing is with me, people may call it, oh, having lack of faith in your team or you're not a true supporter. But, like, I've been a Philly fan all my life for all the teams. The Eagles, the Sixers, and the Phillies. And the one thing I've learned is every season you go in, you have no expectations because every single year it's disappointment after disappointment with the teams. The only year it wasn't disappointment was, obviously the seasons they were winning, but also there was still points to be disappointed in where they would end up losing. All the times the Eagles, the Sixers, or the Phillies made the playoffs and they'd lose. Heck, Philly was on a 10-year drought. The last time they made the playoffs, 11-year drought. Last time they made the playoffs was back in like 2011. But it's like, I'll go to a sport Gio knows more closely. The Sixers in basketball. How many times year after year are we told Joel Embiid's going to have an MVP-like season? They're going to be real contenders. And here they are going out in the first or second round of the playoffs and they never get any farther than that, So it's like I've always come to expect disappointment. So during the entire time watching this Philly run, I was like, okay, cool, we made the playoffs. Let's see if they do anything with it. But my mind was most of the part like, just don't get too high of hopes. And then it was like, we beat the Braves, we beat the Padres, and it's like, oh snap, we're going to the World Series. And the entire time watching the World Series, I was like, okay, yes, I believe we can do this. But at the same time, I'm not letting myself get too invested in case they don't. Because, well, even then, I can't really say I'm disappointed. Because, again, last team in the playoffs and all that. And to go from the wild card all the way to the World Series, you can't be disappointed with that. The only thing you can be disappointed in is not taking the World Series home and losing 2 of those games in terrible fashion at home with your, hometown crowd cheering you on after not having playoff games for like 11 years, Pretty sure even longer. The last time a World Series game was held there was 2009. So, yeah, it's kind of disappointing that those 2 games at home happened the way they did. And the final game wasn't too bad, I guess you could say. Because, I mean, it was close for a while. And then the decision that's just going to always go down as a what if is the fact that they took out their pitcher and then they put in one of their relief pitchers and he ends up throwing a freaking ball right down the middle for Yordan Alvarez to hit a freaking 3-run home run to put them ahead of the game. And it's like, it's not only just that, it's the fact that, Gio knows from watching it They couldn't hit the ball most of the time. They were just swinging for the fences rather than thinking about getting people on base. A lot of defensive mishaps, but it was still fun nonetheless. Overwatch League was fun and hype to watch as well. The only thing that is a slight annoyance is how we've brought up they just play the same metas over and over, the same characters over and over, because it's the one thing that wins games, I guess you could say, but it is quite annoying at times to just see them play nothing different. There was one of the games where we saw someone pick a different character and we were like, oh snap, we're going to change it up, and then they went and switched back immediately, and you were just like, dang it, give us something new, give us something fresh. And then we also saw the character review of the next character coming to Season 2, Ramatra. He's going to be a tank. That's going to be some interesting stuff to see. What else? I'm trying to think back to what else happened, because obviously most of the past 2 weeks were basically filled with baseball. I will say it's pretty funny, but also it's cool to see that because my team was in the World Series, I got a bunch of you guys to watch baseball, even though it's probably not your guys' main sport to watch, I guess you could say. Like, a lot of people don't watch baseball, but it was cool to get friends to watch it. And speaking of friends, real quickly before we move on to the main topic, we're gonna start a petition here on the podcast for Dom to go get some type of therapy, because there's no reason he should be sitting here today with a fever in the hundreds and still thinking about going to work and not calling off. Dom, you need help.
It's like the one Eminem song, "Till I Collapse," you know, like Eminem. And I saw Eminem.
It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing, because he is, and what he means by that song is that he's gonna keep going despite all the hate he gets, and staying true to himself. Not saying that he's gonna go perform when he has 100 plus fever. It's not the same thing. If you collapse at work, I'm just gonna leave you on the floor. I'm gonna go about my day, because we warned you since last night to call off. If you collapse at work, you're gonna stay there. But yeah, Dominic, you need like a stern lecture from someone.
I strive to get through it. You know, it's about the drive. It's about power.
Stop.
It's about
Stop. I just want to mention two things from what Jack was saying. Like, I was like, at first, like, I started watching the World Series out of, as a meme, but then I kept watching it, and like after I think it was like the second game that I watched, or maybe the third, I started like actually hating the Houston Astros, because there's this player that they have. I don't remember his name, but he batted after Pena. He's like this 4'8" dude. And I don't know, every time the camera would just pan over to him, he was like smiling and like waving his hat. And like the Phillies were struggling to hit the ball. And then, I don't know, it just started pissing me off so much that I actually hate the Astros now. And he looks so smug every time the camera was on him. And the other Pena kid, he's like, I think he's like the rookie or whatever this year.
Yeah, he's really young.
And he was like popping off, dude, and I hate it. I was like, how come all these dudes that have like been years in the league can't hit a baseball, but this new kid is making them look like awful on national television? And it was pissing me off. But yeah, overall, I really wish I watched that Game 6, because it would have been, I don't know, I would have felt a lot of emotions. But to the other thing I wanted to say was in reference to our last episode where we were ranting about Call of Duty. I just saw an Instagram post saying that Modern Warfare 2 has earned $1 billion in the last 10 days. Just 10 days.
That's disappointing. Yeah, that's disappointing to hear. Real quickly, I looked it up. Jeremy Payne is 25. He does not look 25. The entire time he was playing in that World Series, I thought this kid was like 18, 19 because of how young he looked. I can't show much disrespect to him because he played well, and he wasn't on that team when the Astros cheated. The last time I checked, I don't think he was on that 2017 roster. I think you mean he batted before Pena. If you're talking about Jose Altuve, the short guy that's like 5'3".
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like 4'8" or something. Yeah, it was either before or after Pena, but I just remember he was
He hits before
literally.
Pena. He's
Yeah,
the leader.
dude, it was so annoying. He got such a cheap shot. Like that ball didn't even, that ball barely managed to get past the dude that was like by third base, and he somehow manages to get to second base, and then Pena just hits such a sick shot, and then they get 2 runs off of that. I was so mad, dude.
Yeah, what's it called? I don't know. A lot of people like to say Jose Altuve didn't cheat in that 2017 run that they had, but everyone knows there's just this. It's more funny than like getting angry at and saying that like, oh, he cheated. There was a play where he hit, I guess, like the walk-off home run back in 2017. And for you two that don't know, the cheating scandal was that they were stealing the signs. Basically, they had, they would bang on a trash can to let the batters know what pitch they were gonna throw, you know. And so he hit this home run, and as he's running to home base, he starts pulling on his shirt and saying no to his teammates. And many people were like, oh, he was saying don't rip off my shirt, because he had a wire that would, like, you know, let him know what pitch was coming. And the excuse he gave to like the reporters was that he changed it up like twice. He first said it's because his wife doesn't like when he takes his shirt off at the games or on TV. But then he changed it up also to say he had a new tattoo that he didn't want to reveal yet, but yet we never saw what that tattoo was. And so there's just like a bunch of controversy behind that, where people are like, no, he was one of the good ones who didn't cheat. No, he did cheat. But then it's like, if you were on a team and you knew they were cheating, you're almost just as bad, even if you weren't cheating involved in it. Because how do you sit on a team that's cheating and not say anything, you know? Like, people want to say, and like, oh, if it was your team, dude, if the Phillies were the ones that won a World Series and then it came out that they cheated, I would not support it in any way. But yet you have all these Astro fans who are still like, oh no, everyone does it. Oh no, our ring still counts. They never got proper punishment for cheating in that World Series. A lot of those players are still playing, obviously, as you see, and it's like, I don't know, it's a whole debate that goes into it. But for the most part, the Astros are basically disgraced in the world of baseball. Even with this World Series, to redeem that loss, people still look at them and are like, oh, well, the other one doesn't count still. It has an asterisk next to it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't acknowledge that 2017 one, even if people are like, oh, everyone steals pitches and all that. It's like, I don't know. For me, it's just disgraceful, because it's like, you got to have respect for the game you're playing, you know? It's like, and that's for all sports. That's why it's like, I get, for the most part, every team tries to get some type of advantage, but like, anytime any team cheats, even if it's one I support, I'm just like, dude, you got to have respect for the game, you know?
Yeah, it's always, I think in other sports, it's, I don't know. Would you say, no, because in football, I guess, like, you could know the other plays, but then you still have to, you know, somehow find a way to, like, stop the play from happening. And there's also, like, the refs and stuff that, like, have horrible calls that give, like, an advantage to one team, or it's, like, very one-sided. And it's the same thing in soccer, where just, like, the referee is literally blind and is literally making the worst calls in, like, soccer history, and that gives the team the win. It's just like when like it's like baseball, and like you're like, you know, information that helps you manipulate the output, like the outcome. I feel like that's a lot worse, because you're like it's not like a third party manipulating it. It's like yourself and and your teammates. So yeah, I like the Astros are frauds.
Yeah, that one. That one's always gonna come back down. I think it was who's the other one? I think was it the Red Sox that were also involved in that one. I think they also did like something similar. I can't say for sure though. I always forget. But yeah, so I don't know. Props to them. I'll go into more detail about it. What's it called? I'll
Tomorrow.
go into more detail about it tomorrow. But today, sorry for ranting to the listening audience, but with about 24 minutes left, we'll transition to
24 seconds.
imagine. We'll transition right now to our main topic of today, and that is another album review coming to you guys. This time, it is the newly released collab album. It was actually supposed to come out, like at the end of October, right? But then they delayed it, right?
Yeah, it was supposed to be. No, it came out. They announced it November 4th, but Metro's the one that delayed his album.
Oh,
not
that's
them.
the one. Yeah, Metro Boomin delayed his album, but we're here with the collab album between Drake and 21 Savage. Something that came out of left field because no one really expected this. It was kind of a random pairing for a collab album, if you ask me. I can't. I'm trying to think back. I don't know if they've ever had, like, if they've ever featured on one another's songs, but what were your guys' expectations heading into this album?
To be honest, I thought it would be a lot more equal. I don't know, just like a lot more equal. I thought it would be like more like 50-50 Drake, 50-50 or 50-50. What am I saying? 50 Drake, 50% Drake, 50% 21 Savage. But it didn't feel like that to me. It felt like a Drake album, but featuring 21 Savage in some of the songs. And I didn't like that because I'm a bigger fan of 21 Savage than I am of Drake, because Drake literally releases the same album every time, and people are still liking it. I don't know. It's just I'm not like I like Drake like 2018 maybe when he dropped Scorpion, but then after that I don't know, his music is going downhill for me. So I was expecting like a lot more 21 Savage in the music. But yeah, what do you think, Dominic?
I think at the album sort of struck me as more forgiving in terms of Drake's, I guess, tone of voice and overall lyricism. With 21 Savage, I think he did pretty well on 3 a.m. on Glenwood. He threw in some really nice verses. There was one verse that kind of struck me a bit. Not struck me. It struck me a bit as like a little bit depressing. When he mentions the with Skinny and about the Grammy, and it's like, damn, I just kept on hearing that little part over and over again. I was like, 21 Savage is losing his friends and stuff, and he expresses it out loud and such. But going back on Drake's side, I feel like he's like very carefree in his like lyricism, like. What's a good track for this one? I think the opening track, Rich Flex, definitely is heavy on like the carefree side of Drake. That he's just very open and honest about what he's doing, and about his, I guess his ways. I'm not sure if I should go to explicit on what I mean by the ways, but I feel like Drake gets a bit more, I guess, limelight. But I feel like it's also pretty cool throwing in other artists as well. I think was Lil Yachty was here, right? Lil Yachty and Metro Boomin, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, Lil Yachty, Metro Boomin, make it boom. It was not that bad. But I feel like I would just say that this whole entire album is sort of egotistical. I don't want to seem that sort of like person. But it's just, I feel like it's a little bit egotistical in terms of Drake's, I guess, just lyricism. A little bit of misogyny, I'd assume. But, I mean, to each their own in terms of what they, opinion of this album.
Misogyny in a rap song.
It's a bit more heavy. It's a bit more heavy on this one. Also, looking at the cover album, I think it's ugly. I do not like it. I feel like you could have picked anything else, and it chose this, and it's just awkward to look at. I don't even know who this person is. I did not do my research on that, so I apologize. What else?
Yeah, his last two album covers have been huge L's.
Yeah, I don't know why he just. I mean, it creates reception, no? So technically, any sort of press is good press in this situation in terms of Drake getting comments saying, "Oh, look at this album cover; it's horrible. Why would he do this?" But I mean, that's what he favors. He favors the clicks. He favors the Twitters. Tweets saying, "Yo, what's up with this album?" and such. And so I feel like, but then again, I don't know why he does it. It's just aside from like just getting the clicks and getting like the views to I guess look down upon his own album covers. I just don't understand why he continues to do it at this point. It just looks ugly. Not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. What else do I have to say about this?
If I remember correctly, I think they said Lil Yachty was the one that picked out the album cover, but like...
Lil Yachty?
I don't know, I kind of agree. I don't really like the album cover as much, just because, like, to me, it's not really about the look of it, it's just kind of boring, if you want to say, like...
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Because I don't know. I don't want people to think of, like, what's the way I want to put this? Like, people have done, like, similar things before where, they put, just a straight through, if you want to say, like, a portrait of someone, like, on the album cover. But, like, they've at least done stuff to make it look, like, unique,
Right.
But, like, to me, it just feels like all Drake did here was, what's it called? Or not really Drake, but since it was Lil Yachty, but all it seems like is they put like some like filter over a normal photo of the girl,
Right.
Like it doesn't make it like stand out in a way,
I
agree.
And or continue.
I was gonna say quickly, the thing that like bothers me about it's just like the bling that she has like on her teeth. That really bothers me for some reason. It's not like aesthetically pleasing. Like if you were just to take that out, I feel like I would like the album cover a lot more. But for some reason, it just like I don't know. It just contradicts with like everything that my brain expects from seeing like a portrait like that. And like how you were saying, like a lot of artists have done like portraits as their album covers. Like Adele, like her entire thing is just portraits of herself. But it's I don't know, they're like a lot more aesthetically pleasing. Like the tone of the album covers are a lot better in a way, I guess. Like each of them has like their own sense of personality in like relation to the album. Like there's like relevance to it, but I don't know. I can't. Maybe it's lost on me, but that's her lost on me. Her loss, haha. Very funny, but I don't know. I don't see like her, it's like her loss, and it's like I don't know. Maybe they're talking about this girl. Maybe this girl in particular. Like maybe they're like exposing her for being, I don't know, she belongs to the streets kind of thing. I don't know. I just don't see the relevance. I don't know.
Yeah, and I know people are probably tired of hearing, especially me, talk about this because of how much I bring up album covers. But like another thing I think that adds to it, and I think Dom will especially agree with me on this, is that I think the main issue with the album cover is just kind of, again, how it adds to the boring like factor of it, is just kind of how muted the overall colors are, Like it doesn't really stand out. It doesn't have colors. to make it sort of like a, how would you say it, to like make it like, I'm not saying that you need to have vibrant colors, but like, it doesn't really stand out in a way. Like I said, it just looks like it has like a really muted tone to it. The album cover, or like again, like it looks like it just has like some type of like lazy sort of filter slapped over it, and it's like, I don't know. I guess it's because of all the different album covers I've seen. It's like you can do more with just a simple headshot. You can do stuff to the headshot to make it like look, intriguing, make it look interesting, and like I'll keep saying it. The only reason I keep like emphasizing album covers is because a lot of times it's what's gonna draw people into your album. Like if no one's ever heard your music, and obviously it's harder for a big artist like Drake, but if no one's ever heard your music, what the one thing that's gonna get them to tune in is if they're looking at your album cover, and like if it intrigues them enough to listen to it.
Interesting.
Like I think a good example, mainly just because of the colors to it, is Childish Gambino's "Because the Internet" album cover. It's literally just him sitting there. Again, it's like similar. It's just a headshot, but all the different colors to it, it's like it makes it stand out. It definitely, I would say, fits the mood of the album, or like, I don't know, like everything that went into that album cover sort of fits the album itself. Like it sounds like, basically looking at that album cover is a good sort of preview of what, like, if you could imagine what the album sounds like. It matches perfectly, and that's something that, like, I don't know. I don't know what to think about like the Drake album, especially pairing it with the album cover. Like, I don't really like the album cover, and as far as the album goes, I don't think the album cover is as good of a matchup, if you want to say. And that's not to say that every album cover needs to match up with all the stuff talked about on their albums. A lot of times you can get really good album covers that sort of mislead the people and think they're getting one thing from the album, and then you give them a completely different thing. But I don't know. That's sort of my rant on the album cover and that.
Interesting.
I feel like they had like an original album cover already selected, but I don't know, like Little Yachty came out of left field. He was like, "Yo, use this," and then everybody was like hyping it up, and they decided to go for it. And if that's the case, I wonder what the original album cover would have been. Because, I don't know, I feel like it would have matched a lot better with, I don't know, just the vibe of the album does not fit the thing, as we've said. So I wonder what the actual album cover would have been, if not this.
And I will say this, at least, or in my opinion, it'll never be worse than, what was it called? Certified Lover Boy, where its album cover was just the pregnant emojis.
Yeah, that's, I don't know.
You want to know how far we've gone in terms of like time? We're reaching a point where people are now trying to say it's a good album cover. I saw people actually arguing, because when they were talking about the album covers, people were trying to say it's a good album cover.
It's not. I don't know.
It's terrible, dude.
Yeah. It's literally, if you think Certified Lover Boy has a good album cover, you need to be tested, because it's really not. And there's literally nothing that can justify someone putting that as their album cover. It's literally lazy, and I don't know, just cringe. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's cringe, exactly. It's cringe, but I don't know. I feel like we should start talking about the music a little bit more.
Yeah. But
I feel out of Dominic.
Hey, man.
Say something about the music.
The music, Circle Loco, what Circle Loco? Yeah, I feel like was pretty cool. I like Circle Loco. I've seen people that they don't like it because the concept this is against Mega Thee Stallion. I think that was pretty poggers. What else?
What was I gonna say?
I don't think I could say
Was that the one that
the
had
word, but what's up?
Sorry, I didn't. There was a bit of lag, so I didn't hear you talking. Was that the one with the Daft Punk sample?
I think so. Actually, yeah, maybe.
Right? Wasn't that the one?
I don't listen too much Daft Punk.
I think it had the one more time sample in it. I think that was it. But continue, Dom. Continue.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Yeah. The 10th song in the album. I'm not gonna say it, obviously, but with Travis Scott was sort of okay as well. But I feel like with Travis Scott, it kind of felt odd just throwing him in there because from the outside, of what happened during that one concert where people died. But aside from that, what else? I can't really say much more. Rich Flex was pretty nice. I really liked it. Going back to 3 a.m. on Glenwood, I feel like Savage's voice was like calm to say, and yeah, I enjoyed that. It wasn't like just straight off like go go go. It was just like you have Drake's part and you have Savage's part, which is like in a calm, not monotone, but like the way Savage spoke on what was it? A Lot from 21 Savage. Mm-hmm. That was pretty poggy. What else?
I guess one thing I can add is something that Gio mentioned at the very beginning. The distribution wasn't really even. I think a lot of people mentioned it was like, if you want to say, like 70% Drake, and then like 15% 21 Savage, 15% other features on the album, Like, it wasn't really a collab album, I guess you could say. Because though 21 Savage was on majority of the songs, it felt like a lot of those songs he was more featured rather than it being equal with both men on the track,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't Kanye, Jay-Z, Drake, Future, or some other collab albums. It wasn't like that where it was evenly distributed. They were going back to back on songs. It was more so like, this is a Drake album where 21 Savage is featured on a lot of the songs, and it's not really a collab album because it's not like they get equal time on the songs anyways. Like, a lot of times it was Drake and then like 21 Savage's verse at the end and then song's over,
Cool.
And then I don't know if you guys felt this way, but did a lot of the songs feel like long, I guess you could say? Like, did it feel like to you guys like some songs kind of went on longer than they should have?
Yeah, there's a few that I don't know. It's kind of just, I think I felt that way for literally the majority of the album because it was Drake. And like my bias against Drake and his music nowadays, I feel like because there's like on the album there's longer songs. There's a song that goes on for 5 minutes and 56 seconds. There's literally almost 7-minute song on the album. But it's not about those that I feel like we're talking about. It's just most of the songs they felt very like we understood the point pretty early into the song, and then just the rest of it just felt kind of. I don't know. Is it mean to say redundant? I don't know. It's just I don't know. I'm not a fan of the album, so I'm not gonna let my bias speak against it. No, but what did you guys think?
I feel you on that. It was definitely like, I don't know, like there was especially like a certain portion of the album, like a certain run, where it just kind of felt like that, like redundant, where it was like, it just kind of felt more of the same, and it didn't help that there wasn't 21 Savage to balance it out, you know?
Yeah, if there was a lot more 21 Savage, it would have done the album a lot of good.
Yeah, like, it would have made it felt refreshing because, like Gio said, we've kind of heard a lot from Drake, so it's like, you know, because I think we mentioned in a previous review where it's like Drake constantly drops music, so it's much harder to differentiate and appreciate the music when you get so much of it, you know? And while he does better with sales, you know, that's one thing you can't fault him on. He does better with sales. You know, sales doesn't always equal quality, you know?
Yeah, I sent a link. I sent a post earlier in the group chat. He's doing like 390K in the first week.
Yeah,
And I feel like that's like amongst the highest for this year when it comes to rap albums, because everybody else has been doing pretty, I won't say bad, but like just album sales have been pretty low this year.
Yeah,
and then for Drake to like come out with this number, it's I feel like it's his name carrying it.
Not only that, but you know, I think I mentioned it'll probably be something you have to dive deep into more for an episode, but I think they changed the way streaming and all that contributes, and like all these different things like deluxe albums and bundles and how they affect the streaming sales, you know, and your sales as a whole. But like, you know, you look at all the big names that have dropped this year, and then it's like, you know, a lot of them took their times with the projects, and it's like they didn't sell well, but that doesn't mean that the projects weren't good, you know?
Yeah.
Like Joey Badass's album didn't sell well compared to Kendrick's album didn't sell well. Like the first week sales of Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, his were obviously high. He sold about, I think it was 286,000, I believe was. So that's like still a high number compared to what everyone else was selling, but like, you know, it's still pretty low for a name like Kendrick. I don't think I ever looked this one up because I don't think Dom and I, what's it called? I don't think Dom and I, when we did this review, were looking too into it, you know? What? Oh my gosh, that is a big surprise. Dom.
What's up?
You remember Melt My Eyes, See Your Future by Denzel Curry, right?
Yes.
We both really enjoyed that, right?
Yes.
Can you guess how much it sold first week?
Oh, yeah. How much did we predict the numbers to be? Did we ever give a prediction?
No, I think
a
prediction.
400.
Dude.
I'm gonna say like 27K, maybe.
No way. What? That low?
Oh snap! Wait. There's a minute left, so I'm gonna just say it. Dom, are you prepared to hear this? An album like that, album of the year contender for both of us. We both gave it, I think, like 9.5. It sold 15K first week.
What?
Damn.
Never mind. Wow.
15K, and when he dropped the deluxe album that was really good too, 21K or 21,000 units. It says that he sold. So streaming numbers have definitely changed. 45 seconds left. What would your guys' final ratings of the Drake album be?
I don't know. For me, I'm not gonna bother rating it. I'm not.
I'm gonna give it a 7.5.
I didn't like it.
I'm gonna give it like between.
Or a 7.
I am going to give it between like a 4 and a 5, just cause I don't know. It wasn't really for me. And personally, a lot of the tracks didn't stand out to me. But that's just me. With 10 seconds left, I've been Jack, joined by
Nick Steele.
And Giovanni. I wanted to say earlier, but Rip Takeoff.
Oh yeah,
Lost the legend.